One of the most common concerns we receive is about vegetarians not being able to get adequate protein from their diet. Now, this becomes more of an issue when people are on a calorie deficit and are on a weight loss journey and are unable to optimize the amount of protein that they get through their diet. Now, this is a huge misconception that vegetarians are unable to get enough protein through their diet. So let's look at some of the choices that you have as vegetarians to incorporate protein into your diet. While it might be difficult to balance out your macros while getting adequate protein in your diet, it is perfectly possible to get adequate protein being a vegetarian if you plan your meals properly. So let's look at some of the sources that you have as a vegetarian. First thing is, if you are a vegetarian who consumes eggs, eggs are a great source of protein. A whole egg, including the egg yolk, will give you about 6 grams of protein. If you want to consume only the egg white, you get about 3 grams of protein from egg whites. Next is lentils, legumes and beans. 1 cup of cooked lentils like tur dal, moong dal, etc. will give you approximately 18 grams of protein. 1 cup of legumes such as chana, rajma, kidney beans, horse gram, etc. will give you about approximately 15 grams of protein. Next is, you have a great source of protein from your dairy products such as milk, yogurt, paneer, cheese, etc. These are great sources of protein too. Greek yogurt is also a wonderful source of protein. Next is, you'll be surprised, but a lot of whole grains which are considered as predominantly carb sources also consist of protein. You have amaranth, you have quinoa, you have millets, you have oats. All of these also consist of some amount of protein. Next is soya based products such as tofu and tempeh. These are great sources of protein. Next are nuts and seeds. Now, nuts and seeds consist of about 3 to 5 grams of protein per ounce of nuts and seeds. So these are great sources of protein too. And finally, there are a lot of vegetables which are great sources of protein. For example, 1 cup of raw broccoli gives you about 3 grams of protein. So why do vegetarians find it so difficult to optimize their diet to get enough protein? There is a valid reason behind this. It's because most vegetarian sources of proteins, for example, your lentils and legumes, have a very different carb is to protein ratio. For example, let's look at some non-vegetarian sources like chicken breast and fish, etc. 100 grams of chicken breast consists of about 20 to 25 grams of pure protein. So it doesn't have any carb or any fat in it. However, if you take 1 cup of cooked lentils, the carb to protein ratio is about 2:1. So if you get about 15 grams of protein from 1 cup of lentils, you get about 30 grams of carbohydrates from the same source of protein. And the same thing applies to your dairy sources. For example, paneer, even though it has a lot of protein, it has quite a bit of fat also in it. So when you consume these lentils and paneer, etc., you are increasing your calories automatically because your carbohydrates or fats are going up automatically. So how do you manage this? So to manage this, whenever you fill your plate, first thing is ensure that you get adequate amount of either legumes or lentils. So take more of this, have a lot of vegetables on your plate, and maybe have a bowl of yogurt. Now, since your lentils and legumes like chana, rajma, etc. have a lot of carbs in them, reduce your other source of carbohydrates like rice and roti. Now, your concern might be that if I reduce the amount of rice and roti that I'm having, I might feel more hungry. But the important thing and the beautiful thing about legumes and lentils is that they are high in fiber and they make you feel full and satiated, so your hunger pangs will be controlled. So it is a great idea to load up on legumes and lentils in your plate and reduce the amount of other carbohydrate sources like rice and rotis. Another important thing is that a lot of people who are on plant-based diets or who are vegetarian turn to trendy foods, for example, including quinoa, etc. into their diets, which is great. They are all nutritious, but you have to understand that they are very, very calorie dense. You have to learn to read nutrition labels very, very carefully. For example, if you look at quinoa, which is advertised as a high protein food, the protein to carbohydrate ratio is 1:4. So it has 4 times the amount of carbs as the amount of protein that it contains. So even though it is marketed as a high protein food, you have to ensure that you read the nutrition labels for you to make choices more carefully. And the last way for you to increase your protein intake is to depend on certain supplements. So protein supplements are a great way to increase your amount of protein without adding adequate calories through carbs and fats. So if you are not allergic to dairy, whey protein supplements are a great addition. You could add 1 scoop or 2 scoops per day, which will be about 20 to 25 grams per scoop, which will add up to about 40 to 50 grams of protein, good quality protein into your diet. If you are someone who is not able to tolerate dairy products, you could always choose to go for a plant-based protein also. We have already done a video on protein supplements and how to select a protein supplement, whether you are a person who is allergic to dairy or not. So you can check out that video on our YouTube channel. So the myth that vegetarian diets do not provide enough protein is something that you can put in the back burner. Vegetarian diets are nutrient dense and are a powerhouse of protein also. The only thing that you need to pay attention to is that you need to plan your meals properly and balance out your protein, carbs and fats on the plate if you are on a calorie deficit. Otherwise, a vegetarian diet is a great source of nutrients and fiber and phytonutrients and phytochemicals. So it is a wonderful choice for you to make. So stick to a proper planning of your meals. Read your nutrition labels properly to understand the carb, protein and fat ratio, and balance out your meals properly so that you are on a calorie deficit while getting enough protein into your diet. So hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions regarding weight loss, fitness and wellness, etc., please comment below and we will get back to you in a future video. So take care and stay safe, guys.